Assalamu alaikum, kids. Hope you are doing well. Today we will learn all about space, solar system, planets, planet songs, astronauts, satellites, space probes, telescopes, sun, moon, and origin of universe, all in one video. Are you ready, kids? Let's dive in. Satellites and space probes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Satellites and space probes are spaceships with no people in them. Instead, scientists control them from Earth. Most satellites and probes have cameras or other kinds of viewing equipment. Satellites. Some satellites look down on Earth. Other types of satellites are used to carry television pictures or phone messages around the world. Space probes. Space probes do similar job to satellites, but instead of orbiting the Earth, they visit other planets. All the planets have been visited by probes. Into the future. Going into space is very expensive. So what happens in the future depends on how much money countries want to spend on exploring space. Here are some of the things that might happen over the next 100 years. Mission to Mars. Space probes have landed on Mars, taken pictures, and carried out experiments. There are now plans for a robot spaceship to visit the planet and return to Earth with samples of soil and rock. People could visit Mars in the future. If there is enough money for the trip, space bases may be built there too. Space tourist. The first tourist visited the International Space Station in April 2001. Later this century, it may be possible to spend a week in a hotel orbiting our planet. Space tourists can feel what it's like to be weightless and see stunning views of Earth. A lift into orbit. A very cheap way to get people and equipment into space could be a giant elevator. It sounds impossible, but it could be built with new materials which are 100 times stronger than steel. Asteroid watch. Scientists are watching the skies for any asteroids that might be heading for Earth. A big one could wipe out life on our planet. If an asteroid is spotted in the future, it might be possible to destroy it or send it off course. Ever since people first began to study the stars, they have wondered whether there is life in space. At the moment, we don't know. Some astronomers think we will find evidence of alien life before the end of the century. Reaching out. 2 kinds of space probes are heading out of our solar system. Pioneer probes carry a picture of people and a map that shows where Earth is. Voyager carry a disk with sounds and pictures of Earth. These are to show any aliens who may find them and what we look like. New planets. Astronomers have discover new planets in orbit around stars. Perhaps there is life there. Life on Europa? Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, has an icy surface. Under it, there may be a cold, dark sea. Scientists think they may find creatures there, perhaps like those that live deep underwater on Earth. A space probe may go to visit Europa in the future to try to find out more. What might aliens look like? If we do find life in space, it may not look very interesting. It could be slime or moss rather than intelligent creatures with arms, legs, and heads like us. Some scientists think germ-like blobs found in a rock from Mars show life existed there. The Sun. The Sun is a star. It is a huge ball of blazing gas that makes vast amounts of light and heat, which we call sunshine. It is so big, it could hold 1 million planets the size of Earth. It looks like it's burning, but it's actually exploding like a massive bomb. The solar wind, as well as light and heat, the sun also sends out a stream of invisible specks called particles into space. This is called the solar wind. When the particles pass by the north and the south poles of the earth, they can make the air glow beautiful reds, blues, greens, and purples. Solar surface. The sun makes sunlight by burning 4 million tons of fuel. Every second you can see in this picture that the sun's surface is a churning mass of explosions. Solar flares and fiery loops of gas leap out into space. Life exists on Earth because our planet is just the right distance from the sun for water to be liquid rather than ice or gas. Some planets are far away from the sun, so they are too cold. Some planets are too close to the sun, so they are too hot. And Earth is the right place. Sometimes white areas appear on the surface of the sun. These are called facula. The temperature here is even higher than that of rest of the sun. The sun is a nearly perfect ball of hot plasma, heated to incandescence by nuclear fusion reactions in its core. The sun radiates this energy mainly as light, ultraviolet, and infrared radiation, and is the most important source of energy for life on Earth. At the moon. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The moon travels around the Earth, just like the Earth travels around the sun. So far, the moon is the only part of the solar system that people have been able to visit. What is the moon like? The moon is very different from Earth. There is no air, no weather, and no life. It is a dreary, dusty place that is boiling hot by day and freezing at night. The surface is covered with saucer-shaped holes called craters. You can see some if you look at the moon on a clear night. Some are so huge, a city the size of London could fit inside them. The moon is the Earth's only natural satellite. It is the fifth largest satellite in the solar system and the largest and most massive relative to its parent planet, with a diameter about 1/4 that of Earth. The moon is about the same age as the Earth. Moon landings. People have visited the moon 6 times, but not since 1972. Each spaceship that landed there carried 2 astronauts. They stayed up to 3 days before returning. Fun fact: did you know the moon does not give out any of its own light? We can only see it because the sun shines on it. Second fun fact: did you know the moon takes 27 days to spin around once and 27 days to go all the way around to the Earth too? Third fun fact: did you know we never see one side of the moon because it is always facing away from us? Fourth fun fact: did you know the moon was known as Luna by the Romans? The first unnamed spacecraft to visit the moon was Luna 2 in 1959. Astronaut training. Astronauts train for years to prepare for a trip into space. Special buttons. Space shuttle. Pilots steered the spaceship from a control panel. There were hundreds of buttons to press. Astronauts learned how to control a shuttle in a machine called a flight simulator. This is what it looks like inside a flight simulator. Television screens show what the real view would be like. Floating around. In space, everything floats. This is called being weightless, and it is very strange feeling. Astronauts get used to it by training underwater, which is the nearest thing on Earth to be weightless. The astronaut is doing a spacewalk underwater, making a quick escape. Astronauts must learn how to get out of their space shuttle quickly during an emergency at takeoff or landing. Taking the vomit comet. Astronauts can also learn how it feels to be weightless by flying in a jet, which takes a steep climb. At the top of the climb, they are weightless for 30 seconds. People feel sick sometimes, so the plane was nicknamed the Vomit Comet. A walk in space. Space is deadly. There is no air to breathe. So outside a spacecraft, an astronaut must wear an outfit called a spacesuit to stay alive. Spacesuits are like body-sized spaceships with their own air and water supply. Walk to work. Astronauts make spacewalks to repair satellites, build space stations, or check the outside of their spaceships. Survival equipment. Here are some of the equipment astronauts need to stay alive and comfortable outside their spacecraft. Sometimes spacewalks can last for 5 hours or more. Boiling and freezing. When astronauts on a spacewalk face the sun, its rays are hotter than boiling water. But when their spacecraft travel around the dark side of the Earth, temperature dropped way below freezing. Space. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Trips into space. People have only been sending rockets into space since 1957. Before then, rockets fell back to the ground before they could reach space. They were not powerful enough to go any further. Now we are learning about space shuttles. The first people went into space in 1961. Since then, hundreds of men and women have followed them. From 1982 to 2011, astronauts flew into space in a rocket called a space shuttle. This is how it worked. Number 1. The shuttle blasted off from Earth. Number 2. Two booster rockets fell away when their fuel ran out and parachuted back to Earth. Number 3. The main engine took the shuttle into space. The big fuel tank fell away when empty. Number 4. On its return, the shuttle glided back through the Earth's atmosphere. Its underside used to get very hot. Number 5. The shuttle touched down. It landed on wheels like a plane. Now we will study about the life on the shuttle. 7 people could live and work on the shuttle, and they could stay in space for up to 17 days. They lived in the crew compartment, which was at the front of the shuttle. Inside this compartment, the astronauts didn't have to wear spacesuits. The top level of the crew compartment was the flight deck, where the pilot flew the craft. Below, there was space for the rest of the crew to do experiments and sleep. Living in space. Space stations are homes in space where astronauts can look at the Earth and do experiments. People can live in them for many months at a time. The first space station was set up over 30 years ago, the ISS. This is the International Space Station, ISS. It floats 370 kilometers, 230 miles above the Earth, with 6 people on board. The first crew arrived in 2000. A spacecraft takes each crew up and back to Earth. Crew members may live on board for up to 6 months at a time. Living area. At the moment, there is no specific area where the crew go when they are not working on the ISS. Below is what a living area in a space station of the future might look like. Because there is no gravity in space, the crew will float around inside it and will not need chairs or beds. Danger and disasters. Going into space can be very dangerous. Astronauts only survive because their spaceship or spacesuit protects them. The most dangerous part of the journey are the takeoff and return to Earth. Shuttle explosion. One of the worst ever space disaster happened in 1986. A space shuttle named Challenger exploded only 90 seconds after taking off. All 7 of the astronauts on board the shuttle died. Lucky Apollo 13. In 1970, 3 astronauts were going to the moon in a spacecraft named Apollo 13. Halfway, their part of the spacecraft blew up. Some of the fuel supply had exploded. The crew survived the disaster but almost ran out of air on the way back to Earth. Up in smoke, the European Space Agency launched its first Ariane 5 rocket in 1996, but a computer on board did not work properly. Less than a minute after takeoff, Ariane 5 began to fly in the wrong direction. Then it broke into pieces and exploded. The names of the planets. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Here is an easy way how to memorize the names of the planets. My very educated mother just served us nachos. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. We take the first letter of each word in the sentence, and that is the name of the planet. So kids, are you ready for the fun? Here we go. My Mercury, very Venus, educated Earth. Mother Mars. Just Jupiter served Saturn. Us Uranus. Nachos Neptune. My Mercury, very Venus, educated Earth. Mother Mars. Just Jupiter served Saturn. Us Uranus, nachos Neptune. Planets. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to space. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Solar system. I am Mercury. I'm the smallest planet and closest to the sun. I'm Venus. I'm the hottest planet in the solar system. Ouch! I am Earth. You call me home. I am also the only planet with liquid. I'm Mars. I'm really dusty and cold with a thin atmosphere. I'm Jupiter. I'm twice the size of other planets, so they call me giant. I'm Saturn. I'm surrounded by a series of icy rings. I'm Uranus. I rotate on a tilt, so I look like I'm sideways. I'm Neptune. I'm the smallest gas giant and farthest from the sun. And I'm the sun. There are 8 planets in the solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Solar system. The sun's family is called the solar system. It includes all the planets, moons, comets, and lumps of rock, dust and ice that orbit the sun. Planets are made up of rock, metal, or gas. All the planets belong to the solar system, but there are great differences between them. There are also two vast bands of drifting rock called the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt. Comets are huge lumps of ice, gas, and dust which orbit the sun. Comets fly around the solar system. Moons are natural rocky balls that orbit planets. There are 9 planets in the solar system. Jupiter is the largest. It is so large all the other planets would fit inside it. Very little is known about the Pluto, the smallest planet. Days and years. A day is the time it takes for a planet to spin around once. Earth's day lasts 24 hours. A year is the time it takes for a planet to go all the way around the sun. Earth's year lasts for 365 days. Atmosphere. Most planets have an atmosphere, a layer of gas that covers the surface. Earth's atmosphere is made of air. It stretches 600 kilometers above us. It provides air to breathe and helps protect us from the sun's heat. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Solar system. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe.